Hi, grade 9s. Going to give a go to this program here and try to help you out with a little bit of the measurement assignment that I gave you the other day. So I've given you a little bit of instruction on measurement, okay, and that kind of started with some of this stuff as far as imperial system, getting our fractions of an inch down, okay, understanding those 16ths fractions and reducing them, understanding our 12 times tables, okay, both timesing and dividing. And then we talked a little bit about the metric system, how you kind of go up and down between the points of the metric system, millimeters, meters, kilometers, etc. Okay, when you're stepping down, you're multiplying or you're getting bigger. When you're stepping up, you're getting smaller, you're dividing. Okay, and you did a couple of these simple little questions here. I kind of did them on the board with you. I showed you how the ruler is broken up. But now I'd like to just kind of give you some feedback and some help with some of these questions here from the measurement. So I'll go through and I'll do a few of these with you. And hopefully this helps you out. Hopefully you can use it to guide you along. So first question up here, it asks for answers in both, what do we got here, inches and centimeters. It wants a decimal with the centimeters and wants fractions with the inches. So you got to get yourself a ruler that has both centimeters, millimeters, whatever, and inches on the other side. So I'll do the first couple in centimeters. Again, obviously we're making sure our 0 is lined up right with the start of our line, and then we simply just go over here. We see that it doesn't quite get to the 8; it's short of the 8, and 7. And then you just count spaces again, and obviously there's 10. There's 10 spaces between each one, so I'm 2 spaces short of the 8. So that would tell me that it's 7.8 centimeters. Okay, pretty simple. I flip my ruler here, or I can flip it upside down, okay, for you. And I'm going to go put the 0 at this edge. And I'm going to go over to this edge, and I'm going to read it here. So 0, 1, 2, 3. I'm just past the 3. I'm actually 1 tick past the 3. And on this particular ruler, all of these inches here are in 16ths, which you'll see is actually kind of written here, except for the first inch. It's broken up into 32. So there's 32 spaces here, but everything else is 16. So I can see that this is 1 space, or 1/16 past the 3. So my answer would be 3 1/16 inch. Okay, I'll do one more side for you here. I'll start with the centimeter or the metric side. Get that lined up as well as I can. Get out here to, it's less than 5, bigger than 4. So it looks like we're we're for sure 2 full spaces short of the 5. So I would say that's 4.8 centimeters. Hopefully most of you would know that that's 48 millimeters. Okay, same length. And now we'll try to read it from the top here. So make sure our 0's lined up. And what do we get out to? Okay, when we look here, we're 2 spaces short of the 2. Okay, so 2 spaces. So if there's a total of 16 spaces here, and I'm 2 short, that means I'm 14. So I would be 1 14/16. But we know that from our previous work here, okay, from this stuff right here, 14/16, we should know that answer. You should have that written right there in your book. And 14/16 is actually 1 7/8 inch. You put those 2 little tick marks for inch, right? So I did a couple sides for you. I'm sure you can do the other 2 sides on your own. Okay, question number 2 here. You've got a rectangular room. So again, anytime you get into to these questions, if you can do it on the paper, good. But these ones you don't have space. You're going to need to get yourself another piece of paper and do that. So I'll kind of just draw a picture. Whenever I have a word problem such as this, I like drawing a picture. So it's a rectangular room. Okay, I got a rectangle. It says it's the bigger side. I see this is my bigger side, so I'm going to go 11 feet, 8.5 inches by 10 feet, 11 3/4 inches. Okay, so I'm not quite drawing a scale, obviously, because these two numbers are pretty big, but this rectangle doesn't look like it. So it doesn't matter. It's more about the placing the numbers and understanding the question. So it wants you to find perimeter. Okay, so it talks about perimeter for crown molding. Well, crown molding is something you put up in the top corners where your wall meets your ceiling. And it's the same type of thing as baseboards. Baseboards you put around the bottom where your wall meets your floor. Okay, but basically it goes around the perimeter of your wall. So if this is our room and I need to go here, 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 obviously I just simply need to add these numbers up twice. So there's 2, 10, and 11 3/4, and then there's 2, 11, 8 1/2. Well, you might ask yourself, how do I add these numbers with different units and different fractions? This is not very easy. Well, first of all, I gave you some pretty easy fractions to work with, so I think you can do most of this in your head. You can use a calculator, so there are calculators that will use input fractions and spit out fractions. But let's do this a little bit different way. So let's add the feet, 11, 11, 10, 10. So you've got 42 feet there. And now we're going to add some inches here. Let's add the whole inches first. So we've got 11, 11, 8, and 8. So that's 19, and 19 is 38 inches. We've also got 3/4 and 3/4. Well, that's 1 1/2 plus a half is 2. Half is 2 1/2 inches. Okay, well that's pretty easy. I've got this many feet and this many inches in total. Well, this isn't a very good answer. Obviously, I need to combine these. And once again, I'm going to refer you back to these times tables that you did. You should be able to figure out how many feet are in 38 inches. So you've got 42 already. 38 inches can be split up into 36 and 2. So 36 inches is actually 3 feet. So let's put these 3 feet up with this guy, and that would give us 45 feet in total. And then these 2 inches that are left over here, let's put that with these 2 1/2, and that gives us 4 1/2 inches. So there's our answer. What perimeter, or how many feet and inches do you need of crown molding? You need 45 feet, 4 1/2 inches. Now, if you go into a lumber store, are you going to tell them this is how much you need? Well, probably not. You're going to probably want to round this off to the nearest at least foot, or probably 10 feet or 12 feet. So if it was the nearest foot, you'd say 46 feet. If it was the nearest foot of lengths of 10, you'd say 50 feet. Whoop. And if it was the nearest length of feet of 12, because quite often this will be sold in 12-foot lengths, you'd say 48 feet. So just remember this kind of a thing when you're going into a lumber store or anything to buy some of that crown molding or baseboard. You don't necessarily want to give them the exact answer, because remember, when you got to make cuts, okay, you might have to make cuts here, you might make a little mistake. You always want extra. So probably want to go to that 50, 48 for sure to get the proper length. So that would do your crown molding. Second part of that question is, what's the area you need to cover with floor tiles? So let's say that you need to cover this whole space with floor tiles. Well, now we're talking area. Okay, you guys all know how to do area. Area is simply length times width, right? So area equals LW. Well, my length is 11 feet, 8 1/2 inches. My width is 10 feet, 11 3/4 inches. Okay, well now you're going to say, well, how the heck do I multiply these two numbers together? I can't just plug that into a calculator. You're right, you can't. So what you need to do is change it to common terms. You've got feet and inches. You can't turn them all to feet because this isn't enough to make up a foot, so it's still going to be the same answer. So what you need to do is turn it all to inches. Okay, so put everything into inches. Again, I'll refer back to this. Turning these into inches shouldn't be hard if you know your 12 times tables. 11 feet is how many inches? Okay, so that should be 132 inches. Plus I've got 8 1/2 inches. So if I add those two guys together, I should have 140 1.5 inches. So there's my length. Now if I do my width, 10 feet is 120 inches plus the 11 3/4. That gives me 131 3/4 inches. Okay, there's my width. Well, can I type this into a calculator? Yeah, again, there's calculators that will do your inches for you. Okay, you have to know how to use that. If you don't know how to use that, I chose some inches that are pretty easy for you to turn into decimals. So this could also be written as 140.5 and 131.75. Okay, so those are the numbers you're going to plug into your calculator. So I'm just going to put my calculator on my computer here, and I'm going to do some simple multiplication. 140.5 times 131.75, and I get 18510.875. Okay, so you're going to say, oh, boy, that's a pretty wicked number. Am I really going to take this many square inches into my lumber store and say this is how much floor tiling I need? No, you're probably not going to want to do this. But this answers the question that I asked you, is what area do you need to cover? Okay, this is your area in square inches. I would challenge you to then turn this into square feet. Okay, now if you're given this number of square inches and you want to turn it into square feet, it's not as simple as dividing it by 12 because there's 12 inches in a foot. You have to figure out, well, how many inches, square inches, are in 1 square foot? Well, 1 square foot, let's pretend that this is 1 square foot. That's 12 inches by 12 inches. That's 144 square inches in a 1 square foot piece. So if this was 1 foot versus 12 inches, right? 144 square inches. So we're going to take this number and divide it by 144. So let's grab that calculator again. And you got 18,510.875 divided by 144 equals. So if I divide this by 144, I should get 128.55 if I round it off, and that would be square feet. So when you go into that lumber store, you're going to say, okay, I need about 130 to 140 square feet. This is the actual answer that you need, but you remember when you do things like this, you're always going to need extra for mistakes or pieces that can't be used, right? Unusable pieces. So you always think about getting more than you need. Now, I just want to refer back to this 0.875 of an inch. Well, what is 0.875 as an inch? Because you can see how we turn these fractions into decimals. And we give answers. We always like to have our feet and inches answers without a decimal. There shouldn't be a decimal. So, how do I turn this back into a fraction simply for an inch? Well, we know that our inches are broken up into 16 pieces. And if we want to find out how many parts of 16 is 0.875, we need to multiply it. So, calculator going again. 16 times 0.875 equals 14 parts. So that means 14 out of 16 is 0.875. And we know that that is equal to 7/8. So I could have written 18,510 and 7/8 square inches. Okay, over here, again, doesn't have to be highly accurate, but if we want it to be more accurate, well, it's 0.55 of a foot. Okay, so 0.55 of a foot would be just over 6 inches. So you could say 128 and 6 inches, but for this case, you wouldn't want to do that. You'd want to keep it as a decimal or round it up to that nearest whole foot. Okay, so that's that one. Number 3, you're going to put a fence up. Key thing here is it says 3 sides. You're going to do 2 long and the back. Well, obviously the back is going to be the shortest. Your property is 66 feet by 25 feet. How many feet of fence do you need? Well, you need 2 long, so 2 of these and 1 of these. Okay, I'm going to let you do the math on that one. That's just simple adding. But again, I'm going to encourage you to either A, do some adding like this. Okay, so you had the feet, inches, feet, inches, feet, inches. You can do that with these. Feet, add 66 plus 25. And then inches, 10 plus 6. And then fractions, quarter plus 3/4. Or you could have turned them all into inches. Okay, but I think what the method we used here was pretty handy, so I would do that. Okay, I'm not going to give you the answer to that. I think you can do that math. Number 4, eaves troughs. Okay, so if we all can imagine what an eaves trough or a downspout drainage is for our roof, and that's going to go along the downward or bottom edges of your roof. Okay, it won't go on the peak. Okay, so if you have a regular gable end roof like this, a peaked roof, you've got a home peaked roof. Okay, it's going to go like this. Your downspouts are going to be here. You're not going to have any kind of gutters on these two sides here. It's just going to be here, and then there'll be one on the back side there. Okay, nothing on the gable or the sloped edge. So you built a new shed. You want to do the two lower edges. The lower edges are this long. How many pieces of 12-foot eaves troughs are you going to need? Obviously, you're going to need, I'll get this here. You're going to need one 13 and 3 3/4 inch piece here, one 13 and 3/4 inch piece here, and you need to add those two up. You're going to get a number, and then you should be able to figure out how many 12-foot pieces you need. That should be a pretty simple one for you. Again, you're going to go to the lumber store. You're not going to say, oh, I need 2.384 pieces of 12-foot eaves trough. You're just going to say, I need 2, I need 3, I need 4, I need 5, however many you need. Okay, so you do the math on that one. Number 5, okay, we're fertilizing our lawn. So we want to do a winter fertilize and a springtime fertilize. We want to buy enough fertilizer to do both. It gives you different dimensions of different parts of your lawn. So maybe you got one on the left side of your house, one in the backyard, one in the front yard, and one beside your driveway. Okay. What you need to do, obviously, is you need to find your area. So how do you find area? Well, we know that that's length times width. Right here. 12 times 14 times 20, 17 times 13. Okay, you're going to find some areas. Once you find those areas, well, you're going to add them all up. But the key thing here is that you're doing it twice. You're doing it once in the winter, and you're doing it once in the springtime. So you need to double it. And you're going to get a big number, like 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 square feet. And one bag covers 400 square feet. So now you're going to have to do some division. So you've got multiplication, you've got adding, you've got division. All very simple stuff, very simple procedures. Drawing pictures will help sometimes, but in the end, I want you to tell me how many bags of fertilizer you're going to need. Okay. And just real quickly, the last couple of pages here are these pretend boards on here. I'll do a couple of answers here. I'm going to do them in both feet and inches to show you the different ways that you can do it. So the first thing I do, I can see this rectangle here. It ends right there. Okay, I like to put that mark on it. First thing I'm going to do is say which inch does it get past. So it does not get past 27, but it gets past 26. So 26 is going to be my first inch I write. Over here, it just gets past the 57, so 57. Over here, it gets past the 21, so I write 21, and I would keep doing that. Okay. And then I know that these are always broken up into 1/16 of an inch. 1/16, that's our common theme, our common number with this measurement. And that's 16 spaces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So that covered 13 out of 16 spaces. And this is odd, so I'm done. 13 out of 16. However, I would like to turn this into feet as well. And we'll go back to that times table or the multiplication tables of 12 that you figured out and you learned. Okay, we're going to do the same thing here. How many times does 12 go into 26? Well, it goes twice, so that's 2 feet. And we know that 2 feet is 24 inches. That leaves us with 2 inches left over. So 2 and 13, 16 inches. So this or this would be good answers. Obviously, this one is really good. Okay, that's really showing me in-depth knowledge of how to read a tape measure, how to get that measurement. This one's really good too. I'm going to do one that has an even number, if I can find one. These, oh, right here. So this one goes to about there. So that's 43. And I count the spaces, not the tick marks. So I put my pencil on the 43 and I go space number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 6 out of 16. Well, 6 out of 16 is even. So I need to reduce it. I'm going to divide them both by a common factor, and then in this case it's 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 16 divided by 2 is 8. 3/8. Okay, so 3/8. 3 is odd, so I'm done. Once this is an odd number, I'm done. If it was still an even number like 4/8, well, I'd have to keep going. But in this case it's odd, so I'm done. So there's one answer, 43 3/8 inches. Let's see if we can't turn that into feet though. Okay, how many times does 12 inches go into 43? 12, 24, 36, 48. Okay, 36 is where I got to stop. That's 3 feet. And that makes 36 inches. Okay, so how many inches are left over from 36 to 43? Well, that's 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's 7 inches left over, and that 3/8 is still there. So there's my answer. 43 3/8 inches, or 3 foot 7 3/8 inches. This is the same answer. Okay, so I want you to continue to power through these questions here. Learn how to read your tape measure, your rulers, and learning in inches is our focus. Okay, we haven't really done a lot of millimeter, centimeter stuff, maybe just a little bit of stuff here, but really it's not highly used in the trades. And I'm going to put out a different video here later on doing some of these drafting questions. So I hope this helps. Good luck. If you have any questions, make sure you're asking.